Coming up next on KPBS Evening Edition, a record number of guns were exchanged for grocery cards in southeastern San Diego today.
And patient advocates want to get an initiative on the ballot that would regulate and tax marijuana collectives. KPBS Evening Edition starts now. Good evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm Amita Sharma, in for Joanne Farian.
And I'm Dwayne Brown. A bill in Congress aims to combat illegal border tunnels like the ones found in San Diego County over the last month. It specifically targets criminals responsible for using, building, and financing these smuggling tunnels. Prosecutors would be able to charge them with a conspiracy offense. If approved, the bipartisan tunnel bill comes with a maximum sentence of 20 years in prison for anyone convicted. A similar bill is making its rounds in the House.
19 San Diego motorists faced drunk driving charges today following a weekend crackdown by the San Diego County Sheriff's Department. Authorities say they also issued 60 citations and impounded 40 vehicles during the crackdown. Sweeps took place in San Marcos, Vista, Santee, and Lemon Grove on Friday and Saturday nights.
A record number of handguns and assault rifles were exchanged for grocery cards in southeastern San Diego today. The program allows folks to drop off their weapons with no questions asked in exchange for gift cards. This wasn't a typical drive-by, but weapons were involved. So too were police from the neighborhood, here to impound the guns, check their serial numbers, and eventually destroy them. So there won't be any further inspection of these weapons for those who turn them in to worry about. Captain Tony McElroy says it's been overwhelmingly successful.
And since we've done this thing, our crime rate has gone down. We've seen the amount of gang activity, the amount of assaults, the amount of violent activity has gone down in this area.
Since 2008, the Gifts for Guns program has collected 540 weapons. $100 for a handgun, $200 for an assault rifle. The response this year was so great, the organizers of the event, the United African American Ministerial Action Council, ran out of gift cards. Robert Robinson with the group says they hope to get more support to expand the exchange.
We want to get corporate America. We want to get larger sponsorships. We don't want to run out of cards next year.
First year we received about 150. Last year about 103. And so this year folks came out in droves, and they're still driving up and still giving their guns, even though there's no gift card.
We've seen statistics show that most of our burglaries, where guns are taken in burglaries, they end up in the hands of criminals and things like that, and that's where the violence comes in. And we realize that gang members may not turn in their guns, but it is an opportunity for people who have guns in the house that may not want them there and do not know how to dispose of these weapons, could turn in their guns and receive something nice in exchange for them.
Today, the group was able to take more than 260 guns off the streets. President Obama officially proclaimed an end to the war in Iraq last week as the last troops left Baghdad. In San Diego, many of them are returning home to a hero's welcome from friends and family. KPBS video journalist Nick McVicker brings us their story from Lindbergh Field.
Paul Kepner is an instructor for the Helicopter Sea Combat School at North Island. He was waiting for his friend and fellow sailor at the airport.
We're waiting for Eric Severson. He's one of our pilots in our command.
Severson served as support for the Army in Afghanistan and is returning from a year-long deployment.
You know, catching up with him, finding out he's probably got great stories. He was part of a really interesting command there. He's a big personality. Everybody loves him. Yeah, it's going to be really fun. He's engaged, and now, you know, his fiance's here to see him. So they got engaged before he left, which is really exciting as well. Just happy to have Eric home.
There are few public policies that cause as much conflict between federal and state law than medical marijuana. And the showdown between California and the federal government could intensify. Patient advocates want to get an initiative on the ballot that would regulate and tax marijuana collectives. Attorney Jessica McElfish with the Patient Care Association of California joins us. Jessica, what would the initiative do?
This is an initiative for the November 2012 ballot that would seek to regulate storefront medical marijuana collectives in the city of San Diego to ensure safe access for qualified patients.
And how much revenue might medical marijuana bring into San Diego and bring into the state?
We're not certain, but we know based on figures from the State Board of Equalization that in 2010, medical marijuana generated between $50 to $100 million in sales tax revenue. We estimate about $9 million of that came back to San Diego. This initiative would not only bring that revenue back, it would also bring additional revenue of at least a couple $1 million to the city's general fund through a special tax within the initiative.
Now, you represent the Patient Care Association of California. What is this group? Who is this group? And why are they behind this initiative?
The Patient Care Association of California is a group of qualified patients and collective operators based primarily out of the city of San Diego, which means the city of San Diego is our #1 priority. However, we are involved with groups statewide. Our #1 goal is to ensure safe access for qualified patients through reasonable, regulated storefront collectives.
Evening Edition host Joanne Farian spoke last week to San Diego City Attorney Jan Goldsmith about the friction between federal and state law when it comes to medical marijuana. Here's a little bit more of what he said.
The acquisition, purchase, the transportation or use of marijuana is a crime under federal law. Forget about state law. Federal law preempts. It's sort of like if the city of San Diego or the state of California was to set the speed limits on the interstate highway at 100. It means nothing because it's the federal government that gets to decide the speed limit on interstate highways. So my advice to them is not to break federal criminal laws. You can be put in prison.
Given City Attorney Jan Goldsmith's comments about the conflict between federal and state law on medical marijuana, how does this initiative resolve that conflict? And if it doesn't, are you not setting yourself up to fail?
With all due respect, Jan Goldsmith's incorrect. The federal government is free to enforce its federal laws, including the Controlled Substances Act, and they are always free to do so. None of that has changed. However, the state and cities are free to enforce California's medical marijuana laws and implement them at a local level. We have numerous rulings within California jurisprudence stating that that's exactly what the state and cities are allowed to do, reasonably regulate marijuana and implement the will of the voters of California going back to 1996 with the Compassionate Use Act.
Then why this conflict?
The conflict remains because federal law has not yet been changed. There are rescheduling petitions, one that is being appealed. There's another that's going to be filed by the governor of Washington and the governor of Rhode Island. Basically, though, that is federal law. And what we're here to talk about today is state and local law.
Now, polls elsewhere show that there is tremendous sympathy for the sick who use marijuana. What's your sense about the public attitude in San Diego?
Public attitude in San Diego is that everyone knows a qualified patient, and many residents of San Diego are qualified patients, and they want safe access to medical cannabis. And anyone who perhaps is having a hard time with that needs to think about the type of access they would want someone that they love or themselves to have if they were ill, and think about how to implement that. And that's what we're doing, and we fully believe that the citizens of San Diego are going to be behind us.
Given the crackdown, where are patients very quickly getting their marijuana from now, or have they completely stopped?
No, patients are getting them from the few remaining storefronts. Others are unfortunately being driven into the black market.
Jessica, thank you so much for speaking to us today.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Coming up next, the controversy over the value of cancer screening. We'll hear the science and a very personal view from KPBS reporter Peggy Pico. And a pilot program from the San Diego City Attorney's Office is causing a stir. Why some former prosecutors disagree with couples counseling. This is KPBS Evening Edition.
Tonight on KPBS. At 8, items for the young and young at heart are appraised, including original art for a Dr. Seuss lunchbox on Antiques Roadshow Forever Young. Then at 9, from a small diamond ring to a wall-sized painting, Antiques Roadshow scours its archive to find things big and little. And at 10, meet America's most important and influential designers, husband and wife team Charles and Ray Ames. That's tonight on KPBS.
I'm Judy Woodruff. On the next News Hour, an investigation into suspected Medicare fraud, plus the latest on the presidential campaign. That's Monday on the PBS News Hour.
The American people have named PBS
the most trusted source of news
and public affairs
for the 8th year
in a row.
Trust.
The American people have spoken.
Thank you.
KPBS Evening Edition is made possible by Joan and Irwin Jacobs and by
Experts say women don't often leave abusive relationships, even if the violence is severe. That's why the San Diego City Attorney's Office is sponsoring a pilot program to curb domestic violence. But as Amita Sharma reports, some former prosecutors think couples counseling endangers lives and contradicts research.
Half the couples in San Diego with temporary restraining orders because of domestic violence stay together.
Believe it or not, they might love each other. There might be financial reasons. And that's part of that cycle of violence that occurs.
The city attorney's office hopes to end that cycle with a new program called Thrive. The office is teaming up with the district attorney, the public defender, the county sheriff, and police to match up victims, defendants, and their kids with services. Dawn Griffin is a forensic psychologist and president of the San Diego Domestic Violence Council. She helped design the Thrive program. The Alliant University professor says experts will evaluate families to see what each member needs. She says it's unique to ask the family for input.
Do we understand you? What are we missing? Because believe me, we are missing so much of the picture. They're the experts of them.
Based on that input, Thrive organizers could hook parents up with job training. Their young children might be referred to therapy. Parents might also receive therapy for substance abuse and to get at what Griffin calls are the root causes of violence, which could stem from childhood trauma. And she says parents might also be offered couples counseling.
You know, often when one individual goes into some type of treatment or therapy and the partners don't, this person may learn a lot and the partner remains the same.
Griffin says joint counseling could include teaching the abuser how to recognize triggers and develop ways of responding non-violently. But former San Diego domestic violence prosecutor Chris Morris says that sounds a lot like the city's mandatory anger program for abusers. The only difference is victims aren't included in that program.
We don't send victims to counseling in any other situation. This is not a problem with the victim. This is a problem with the defendant's behavior.
Morris says joint therapy can be dangerous. If victims tell the truth in front of their abusers, they're likely to suffer more. He says victims may also feel compelled to say yes to joint counseling if their abusers want to go. Executive City Attorney Andrew Jones and Dawn Griffin emphasize that couples will only be offered joint counseling after a threat assessment has been done and if both partners want to participate. But former San Diego City Attorney Casey Gwynn says that's not what Jones told him.
He told me that he was going to use the power of child welfare services to encourage them or engage them in counseling. The threat of the use of child welfare services to take a woman's children away is absolutely appalling to me. And now he's backing off from that statement, but that is the statement that he made to me.
Jones denies child welfare services will be used as a prod to encourage victims to participate. Even so, Gwynn says victims are unlikely to feel they have a choice.
Whenever you have a government actor in the middle of this only if you want to becomes almost an amusing statement for them to make. And when you go back and look at the original Thrive MOU, and you've got child welfare services as a partner, and you've got the police department and the city attorney's office and the DA's office as partners, only if you want to, really?
Gwynn says the city actually has no legal authority to even administer such a program, and that, he says, is risky.
If you're going to use the power of the state to engage these people, a batterer and his victim together, you better be darn sure you know what you're doing. Because the day that that batterer kills that victim after you have re-engaged them in a relationship together and you have compelled them to come together for any purpose, the liability for the agencies that are involved in that program is significant.
The Thrive program is set to begin in early 2012. The issue of cancer screening and the accuracy of the results has become more than just a medical issue. Our science and technology reporter, Peggy Pico, takes the issue personally, and she joins Amita at the Evening Edition Roundtable.
As we wrap up our series on cancer, we take a closer look at the controversial changes in cancer screening recommendations. Joining us is Dr. Georgia Sadler, Associate Director for Community Outreach at Moore's UCSD Cancer Center. Also with us to share her perspective as a breast cancer survivor is our own science and technology reporter, Peggy Pico. Peggy, let's start with you. How did you find out that you had cancer?
I had a mammogram. I requested a mammogram, and they noticed something suspicious. And following that, there was an MRI and some other procedures, and basically found stage 3 breast cancer.
So, Dr. Sadler, what are the new recommendations, and why do we have these new guidelines?
The newest recommendations are for women between the age of 50 and 74 to have a screening mammogram at least once every 2 years.
Now, Peggy, this could have directly affected you. How do you feel about that?
Right, because before there was some changes going on. Before we had heard maybe from 35 or 40, you should go every couple of years. So when I first heard that you should, that the recommendations had changed to 50, I was quite unhappy about it because I'm not near 50, and I feel like if I would have waited till I was 50, it could have caused irreversible cancer where I couldn't have fixed it and I couldn't have recovered. So personally, I felt like I should be able to, the guidelines should have stayed at 40s. But I think Dr. Sadler can talk about that. Even though the guidelines say 50, that didn't stop me, being younger than 50, getting a mammogram.
In light of these new recommendations, what can people do for early detection? What else can people do for early detection?
The most important thing is to know your own body. Notice a change, and if you see a change, contact your doctor right away. Besides that, following the screening guidelines, every woman beginning at age 50 should have a mammogram at least every 2 years. Every woman. There are no exceptions to that rule.
And what is your sense of how closely people are following these guidelines?
It varies among different groups. We find people who have language barriers, for example, just can't access that information. The deaf and hard of hearing community have trouble understanding the guidelines because they can't hear them. So we have to make an effort to reach out to any individual who may not have good access to this new information.
Now, Peggy, you've got lots of friends. You've got a pulpit of sorts. What are you telling people?
Well, I go with the guidelines. I say, look, here's the National Cancer Institute guidelines. If you're 50, clear message. 50 and above, get screened. If you have any question, like for me, I requested on my own to have a mammogram, and it's paid for. Insurance will pay for it. If you notice anything, like Dr. Sadler was saying, anything's different in your body, if you want to know. I wanted to know. I went, insurance will pay for it. So what I would say over the coffee table to anybody is, if you're concerned about it, talk to your doctor about it. And if you're really worried about it, ask for a mammogram.
What about the fear factor here? I mean, I know women who will say, I don't want to know. Sounds ridiculous, especially to a doctor. But there are people who are so scared they just avoid mammograms. What do you say to them?
Absolutely. The biggest challenge is the unknown. And so the degree to which we can explain what is a mammogram, how does it happen, what you should expect. So knowing is a big factor in reducing barriers. Also, understanding how the guidelines evolve is an important understanding factor. Knowing that the guidelines were based on the most comprehensive exploration of the available scientific data that we have, that says that we know that if you follow these screening guidelines, our data says we will have a much better survival curve. Beyond that, it isn't that you shouldn't be screened, but we don't know if it will increase the survival curve. And so if you don't know, then you shouldn't make a recommendation. And more data comes in, so the knowledge changes. And as knowledge changes, the public should know. And that's the beauty of the whole system. It's frustrating. But at the same time, if we understand that the new evolving guidelines come from new information, aren't we lucky to have the best information we can possibly get?
Very quickly, Peggy, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm finished with my chemo. My hair, you might be able to see a little fuzz, is growing back. So I'm on the road to recovery, and I'm one of the lucky ones, and I'm happy to be able to share my experience. I'm happy that I'm feeling better and recovering, and telling everybody, yeah, be aware of your body, and certainly take care of yourself. And ask. The main thing is get the information and ask questions, and go from there.
Okay. Thank you so much for speaking to us.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
San Diego work crews have shortened a rope barrier to keep people away from harbor seals during birthing season at the children's pool in La Jolla. About 18 feet of rope was removed to make the barrier comply with a city permit. It calls for the rope to be no more than 130 feet long and about 3 feet wide. An attorney with the Animal Protection and Rescue League says workers left the opening more than 7 feet wide, violating an agreement approved by the City Council, allowing the rope to stay up year-round. Well, the growing popularity of urban farming includes swarms of backyard beekeepers in San Diego. As part of the Speak City Heights series, Media Arts Center video journalist Brian Myers tells us about two beekeepers who say the city's regulations on hives are too strict.
People are usually really surprised to find out that I keep bees. When I first got them, I was trying to keep it like a big secret. And then we told one of our neighbors. Pretty soon, people like all the way up the street were saying like, "Oh yeah, hey," like yelling at me from across the street, like, "How are your bees doing?" And I'm like, oh, don't yell that. You know, I was kind of freaking out that everyone knew, but everyone seemed excited about it. No one has expressed any concern.
There's a number of people that do beekeeping and keep it, you know, they keep it hidden and they keep it quiet, and they're being as responsible as they can, so it doesn't become a nuisance. The codes, they're being revisited. Most lots in the city are not that big.
Even someone like me with this huge yard, I'm pretty sure my bees still are not legal. No one would even know, though, if I hadn't told anyone that I had them. I feel like bees are just in your yard whether you like it or not. They're going to be there in your flowers. You can't stop them. No one's in control of that. And other cities like New York and Seattle have recently changed their ordinance so that it's 25 feet. I feel that's a good number for urban beekeeping.
I really like the idea of the craft of beekeeping and keeping them in the urban environment. There definitely is a connection with wildlife that we're truly lacking.
People have forgotten what it's like to make your own food and have to get your own food and kind of fend for yourself. You go into the store and you buy a packaged something or other, and you don't even know where it came from.
It's a real eye-opening experience when you look in a hive, and then you learn all the steps it takes for, you know, these thousands of bees to make a teaspoon of honey. That connection with that and understanding the services that any pollinators do for our food, and without pollinators we definitely would not have food to eat.
I didn't really think that much about like where my food came from or eating locally or the importance of any of that. When I was just thinking about getting into beekeeping, it seemed like this kind of impossible thing. It's just a connection with that knowledge of how to do it yourself again. Once you have that connection with where your food comes from, you start thinking about what goes into your food, and you start to see the whole cycle of life, and you're a part of it.
There truly is an awakening of people and their connection with food. Bees are just one piece of it, along with chickens and ducks and goats and all the different types of foods we can do in an urban setting.
I'm waiting for my neighbors to get chickens. I feel like they see my chickens, and I'm hoping they'll get jealous and get their own. I wish that they would have a vegetable garden and get chickens and make that connection.
Beekeepers in the city of San Diego are required to register with the County Department of Agriculture. The hives must be kept no closer than 600 feet from homes and not 100 feet, at least 100 feet from the public right-of-way. San Diego, by the way, is expected to review the regulations next year.
Tuesday at 10 on KPBS.
The fabric of democracy, I think, really has worn very thin.
The opposite of poverty is not wealth. The opposite of poverty is justice.
Americans have to fight for the American dream.
Democracy is not what governments do, it's what people do.
This is how we fight back.
Moyers and Company.
I'm Bill Moyers. Join me Friday nights at 10 on KPBS San Diego.
Welcome back to the Public Square on KPBS Evening Edition. The last American soldiers left Iraq yesterday. Their exit marked the end of an 8-year war that killed 4,500 American troops, 100,000 Iraqis, and cost $1 trillion. That price is likely to rise when you calculate health care expenses for veterans and debt. We'd like to know what you think the war's toll has been on American society. On Facebook, Eric says tolls, nothing much, just our fiscal solvency, global reputation, military power, and faith in government. And Jay says the toll was debt and increased political division, which helped lead us to the do-nothing Congress we have today. What do you think the war's effect was on American society? Has it changed this country? How has it affected you? Was it worth the price? We want to hear from you. You can weigh in on the conversation by following us on Twitter, liking us on Facebook, and of course, you can email us. And now, Dwayne has a recap of tonight's top stories.
A new congressional bill takes aim at the criminals responsible for using, building, and financing drug smuggling tunnels. Prosecutors would be able to charge them with conspiracy. Those convicted could face up to 20 years in prison. More than 260 guns are off the streets tonight of San Diego thanks to the annual Guns for Groceries program. San Diegans dropped off a record number of weapons with no questions asked in exchange for gift cards to buy food. You can watch and comment on any of the stories you saw tonight on our website, kpbs.org/evening edition. Thanks for joining us. You have a great night. We leave you with a look at the forecast.